Back at it today with another video, as in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some of baseball's best players and ranking them on a tier list, whether they are overrated or underrated. I also want to let you guys know that this is my last video before officially starting my positional ranking, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, with that in mind, let's get right into the video. All right, so getting things started off here with Trevor Bauer. Bauer actually just got reinstated, some pretty big news across baseball. All in all, I think he's honestly I'm going to say extremely underrated, because I think a lot of people forget he's been out of baseball for 2 years, and I think he's still a really good pitcher. Next up, we have Yu Darvish. I think he's definitely an underrated pitcher. He's a lot better than people give him the respect for. Next up, we have Nolan Arenado. I think at this point, he's pretty properly rated. I mean, he was really underrated in Colorado, but now that he's in a bigger market in St. Louis, I think he gets the respect he deserves. Next, we have Mookie Betts. He's a superstar and he gets treated like it, so I think he's properly rated as well. Anthony Rizzo. He was a really good player. He's not necessarily as good as he once was. I think he's honestly pretty overrated, so I'm going to put him in that category. Next up, we have Shane Bieber, Cy Young winner a few years back. I think he is pretty underrated. I don't think he's extremely underrated, but I think he definitely doesn't get enough respect. Next up, we have Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox. I think he is a tad bit overrated. Really good offensive player, but defensively, while he has made strides, he's not near the competition he has at third base. Next up is Kenley Jansen. At this point in time, he's past his prime. I think a lot of people kind of realize that, so I think he's properly rated. Next, we have Ketel Marte. He used to be sort of underrated, and I don't want to say he's overrated. He's not as good as he used to be, so I think he's properly rated. Next up, we have DJ LeMahieu. At this point in time, he's not what he once was. Again, I think he's slightly overrated. Bryce Harper, one of the best players in baseball today. A lot of people realize that, but still, I do think he is underrated. Byron Buxton, he is extremely underrated. I understand the health and everything that goes along with that, but when he's on the field, he's one of the best players in the game. JT Realmuto, another player that I think is not extremely underrated. I'll say underrated. People do kind of realize that he is the best catcher in baseball, so not extremely underrated, but still pretty underrated in my opinion. Salvador Perez, I think he's properly rated. He gets some respect. He is one of the best top 5 catchers in baseball, I'd say, so right around where he needs to be. Chris Bryant is next, and he's a player based off of his contract. He's extremely overrated. He was so bad for the Rockies last year, and he's getting paid like a superstar, and he's just not that anymore. Jack Flaherty, another player who I think is a little bit overrated. He was used to be really good, but he's been consistently getting hurt and not been on the field. So I know I said the same thing with Byron Buxton, but when he's on the field, Buxton's actually producing. Flaherty hasn't done so as of late, so a little overrated. Next up, we have Nicholas Castellanos, another player who got paid big bucks this offseason. He's slightly overrated based off of what he got paid. He's just not living up to that. Jose Ramirez, I want to say extremely underrated, but everyone at this point realizes he's one of the best players in baseball, so I think he's just underrated. Next up is Clayton Kershaw. Let's see. He's properly rated, I would say. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers of all time, and he gets the respect that he deserves. Manny Machado, at this point in time, I think he's slightly underrated. I don't think he gets enough respect. We have another Clayton Kershaw here, so we're going to skip over that. Buster Posey, retired. We're going to skip over him. Apologize for this tier list. This is as best as I could find. Garrett Cole, let's see. I think he is properly rated. He does get a lot of love across baseball. He is a really good pitcher, though. Jacob deGrom, another player that is properly rated. Apologize. I'm going to kind of speed this up a little bit because I noticed there are a lot more players down here and I don't want to make this too long. All right, Cody Bellinger, overrated. Extremely overrated, actually. He got a pretty big contract. He's just straight up sucked the past couple of years, so overrated. Christian Yelich, properly rated, I guess. He's been bad, but he's still an okay player. Trey Turner, I think he is underrated. Josh Hader, I think he is slightly overrated because he was really bad last year, so I don't think we should look at him as one of the best closers in the game. JD Martinez, I think he is properly rated right around where he deserves to be. Shohei Ohtani, another properly rated player. Xander Bogaerts, I think Bogaerts is slightly overrated. I don't think he's as good as that big paycheck he's going to be getting in San Diego. Slightly overrated with him. Brandon Woodruff, I think he's extremely underrated. He doesn't get enough respect. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Max Muncy, overrated. He was really bad last year. I don't think he's quite as good as people give him the respect that he does. I mean, I don't think he's that good. Kevin Gausman, properly rated, I guess. Verdugo, properly rated. Trevor Story, I hate to say it, he's one of my favorite players, but slightly overrated. He was really bad last year in Boston. Anthony Rendon, overrated. He's been really bad past couple of years. Matt Olson, I think he is extremely underrated. He's a really good player, and no one really talks about him. Ozzie Albies, another underrated player. He's really good. Another player here we have is Michael Brantley. I think he's extremely underrated. He's not what he once was, but he's still a really good, solid player. Juan Soto, I think he's properly rated at this point in time. Matt Chapman, I think he is, I guess he's properly rated. Fernando Tatis Jr., let's see. I mean, I guess he's properly rated. It's tough because he's been injured, but when he's on the field, he's one of the best players in the game. Zach Wheeler, I think he's slightly underrated. Francisco Lindor, properly rated. He's a superstar and he gets that treatment. Jesse Winker, overrated. This guy stinks. Freddie Freeman, let's see. He's properly rated. He's a really good player. Carlos Correa, I still think he's slightly underrated. He did get a huge payday, but I still think he's underrated. Walker Buehler, I think he's extremely underrated. Pete Alonso, I think that is, properly rated. He's a really good first baseman, and he gets that treatment. Josh Hader, we already did him. Salvador Perez, we already did him. Kenley Jansen, already did him. Mike Trout, he's properly rated. He gets, I mean, he's a really good player, one of the best of all time. So I think he gets the respect he deserves. Javier Baez, I think he is extremely overrated. I hate to do it, but he's not as good as people make him out to be. Freddie Freeman, already did him. Nolan Arenado, already did him. Devers, already did him. Lindor, Rizzo, Muncy, Mookie Betts. Okay. It looks like the rest of these players we have already done. I apologize for the poorly put together tier list. The only other one I could find had 170 players. This one had 91, so this is what I guess I'm working with. So apologize for the inconsistency with this one, but there you have my tier list. All right, so there you have my over underrated tier list. I apologize again for the bad tier list. That's as best as I could really find. A lot of the other ones were really outdated. But anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support. And like I said before the video, stay tuned for my rankings. They're going to be coming soon. I'm going to be ranking every position, top 10 players. So that's going to be something to look out for in the near future. Thank you guys again so much, and I'll see you next time.